Hey guys, this is Brian with Bokashi.com back in Lawrenceville, Georgia. And it's been a long summer and it's been quite a busy and long fall so far for me here. I haven't had a chance to do a lot. But the nice thing about Bokashi composting and Korean natural farming, no matter where I'm at, no matter and that is the microbes. Your bacteria, your fungi, your nematodes, your macro and micro arthropods, your worms. I have a whole city working for me, and I don't have to be here for that. That's pretty cool. They don't ask for breaks. They don't ask for pay raises. They're just happy to do what it is they do. And a lot of people have been real generous to write me and say, hey, thanks for the videos. Hey, thanks for the website. It's really cool. I'm going to start it next year. And my response to all of them is, well, the best time to start Bokashi composting and Korean natural farming is now. It's an interesting fact that temperature drives microbial activity. Typically, the warmer it gets, the more activity you'll see. But what we don't really tend to notice or realize is that even when it gets colder out, say the air temperature's 30, 35 like it is in the mornings here now, the soil itself is still probably in the 50s and the 60s. And even when it's freezing out, the soil is still warm. And even when the soil's frozen, we can still do things to heat up the soil and get our microbes active and working for us. But the really interesting thing of all that is regardless of the extremes in temperatures, there's always microbes. If you go to some of the coldest spots on Earth, if you look, there's microbes that are alive. They're active. They're actually doing what they're supposed to in your soil. And if you go to some of the hottest places on the Earth, even looking in molten lava, there are still bacteria. There's still life available. There's still life active doing what it does. So even though it's the fall time and a lot of people are thinking about closing it down for the year and waiting till spring, now is absolutely a fine time to start your Korean natural farming or your Bokashi composting. I put some garlic out 2 weeks ago, and in 2 weeks, that's how far they've grown in 2 weeks. And you can see I've just planted them in little rows along here. I buried a little Bokashi compost in here, and you can see a little bit of a bowl. That's where my dog Kiwi decided to get busy and dig some out for me. But while I was sitting here, I have another bucket that I'm going to bury. What I did is I buried my first bucket and planted on top after 2 weeks, and you can see how well the garlic's doing. No fertilizers, no pesticides, no chemicals. I buried my next batch here, and I'll plant something in here shortly. My next batch went in here a little over a week ago, and my last batch will be here. So this time of the year, what I'll do is I'll make a strip, and a strip, and then I'll plant as I go along. One of the interesting things, though, is that the Bokashi composting doesn't necessarily stay where you expect it to stay. Here's the side of my raised bed, and you can see along here, there's really nothing. It's been here a while, but there's really nothing eating it. You don't see any fungi, you don't see any holes, anything like that. But let me show you something really interesting. Let me see if I can find it. Right down in here. Right here against the side, you can see I've got the beneficial fungi from my Bokashi compost. Guys, I have white fuzzies on the outside. And if you look down here real close, I don't know how well you can see it, that's actually the Bokashi compost. That's actually the IMOs. That's everything working its way out of my bin. You know, I put everything in here, and now it's actually growing out. It's actually coming outside of my bin. So the Korean natural farming techniques and Bokashi composting, they're doing an awesome job. They don't stay put. It's life. It moves on. And here's another interesting thing. I just pulled the grass back. This is Georgia soil. It's really hard. That's why I have raised beds. But look here. I can just stick my hand right down in here. You can see how far I have my hand in here. That is the microbes. That is the IMOs. I went that deep into the soil, and I don't till out here. You can see it's all just grass. I haven't even weed eated. And I'll go find you another spot. That's it right in the middle. I can't even get my fingertips down in there. I'll find you another spot. I can't even get my fingertips there. But right here, along the edge of my bed, look at that, guys. You see this? I don't know how well you can see that. You see this black stuff here? That is my biochar. Look how loose all this is. And I'll just stick my finger down in there. That's my fingers all the way to that point. Again, I'm going down an inch, inch and a half. The worms, the micro and macro arthropods, everybody is coming out of this bin. Here I am a hand width away, and look at this. I can just stick my hands down in the soil like that. So, I say all that to say this. Now is a good time. Never is it a bad time to start your Bokashi composting. Never is it a bad time to start your Korean natural farming. I'm a heating and air guy. All summer long, I'm pretty much a stranger to my family. 10, 12, 14 hours a day. But I still had tomatoes. I still had cucumbers. I've still got green peppers on the vine. And it's all because of the microbes. I have an army behind me, and they work non-stop. So, that being said, don't wait till springtime. Do it now. You know, even if you don't plant anything, put the microbes out and let them work over the winter. They're more than happy to do that for you. And in fact, let's go, since my dog Kiwi got busy, you can see she got busy from here over. I usually cover this with a little bit of chicken wire to keep her out, because the fermented food scraps, they're silage. That's fermented food. That's healthy food. You can feed it to the chickens, the pigs, the goats. Heck, my dog even eats it. So we'll find us a spot here. You can see this is disturbed here, and this is completely undisturbed here. So let's just see what the microbes have been doing for me before I bury my other bucket. You won't be able to see it too well. We have a lot of earwings. Unfortunately, my GoPro doesn't take very good close-ups, but it does take good wide stuff. That's why my nose looks like a pickle sometimes on some of my videos. My soil is actually moving right here. My soil, as I move stuff aside, let's see what this guy is, what critter is in here. Was it earwing? My soil actually moves. So just on the top, you can see I have my biochar, homemade. Purpose of that is to retain moisture, to lock up and hold nutrients so it doesn't wash away. Right here, just on the very surface, worms. All I did was move some straw aside. Now granted, he's a little guy, he's a little worm, but you know what? Little worms become big worms, and big worms make baby worms. So, just as I pull stuff aside, just the straw aside, my soil's actually heaving and moving underneath of me. It's alive. Now, let's see what we can find. Lots of earwings. That's my macro arthropods. If I have macro arthropods, that means I have micro arthropods, and that means that I have stuff that they eat, which is my bacteria and fungi. I don't know how well you can see it, but we got some fuzzies here. That is mycelium. That's fuzzies, guys. That's the IMO. That's the fuzzies. That's the white fuzzies in here, just growing, taking off like crazy. So let's actually dig down a little bit and see what we can find. Right here, let's see. That's a little roly-poly guy rolled up. Little tiny worms. I got baby worms everywhere. Look how small they are. I hope my camera can pick him up. He needs to get a little active. Look how small he is. But he's there, and it's just on the surface. As you would say, you're just scratching the surface. I know I had, see, there's my soil moving right there. Let's see if I can find him. Where are you? Here he is. My soil heaves, my soil moves. A lot of people dig in their soil, they have nothing. It just sits there. Mine, all I have to do is turn something and it physically shakes underneath my hands. Now I know I have black soldier flies in here, and they're, you know, part of the biology. Here you go. One more handful down. It's like my original worm video that I made, counted out like 18 worms in one handful. Actually, that's 2 of them. There's two worms. Chances are they're making babies. And this is where I had the food, right in here. And this is the spot that Kiwi didn't get to. And that was a little over a week ago. And let's dig down and see if I can find some of the food. Here you go, more worms. I know I'm close to where the food was because I'm covered up in worms. Down here, got a little grub. You know, everything in here, there's food. Everything's a function of food. So, they're in here eating. But this is my food scraps, guys. I'm coming down to the bottom. You don't see anything in here that looks like food anymore. You may see a little bit or a piece. There you go, another worm. Let me see what this is. That's just a stone. Yeah, all the food that was in here is now being has been converted. Another worm. You'll have to do the math and the count because I lose count real quick. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Surely we got to be able to see some spaghetti. Surely we've got to be able to find, you know, something that looks like food. Heck, it was a whole bucket full. There's another worm down in there. Straight down where the biochar is on the side here. Alright, let's go towards this way some, see what we can find. My whole point is this, guys. Natural farming is about creating life and sustaining life. For you to eat something before you had to eat, which means the plant or the animal before you had to eat. And what it ate had to eat. And bottom line, if you don't feed the soil, you're not going to feed anything else in this world. Here's another worm, just right on top. So not only do I have Bokashi compost, I have vermi compost, worm compost. And so far in here, here's another one. Let's see, where did he go? He's in here. There he is. There he is. You can see, there you go, black soldier fly grub right there. Little black soldier fly. And if you notice that where the black soldier fly and the worm is, there's some white stuff. You know what? That's the white fuzzies from what's left of the food that I buried in here. That's a little bit or a little piece of food. And wherever the food is, guess what? The critters are. That's all that I've found that's even recognizable, sort of, kind of, as some food. Just that little bit of stuff right here. And this was a whole bucket. Another worm. Little one, but he's a worm. In fact, hang on. My eye's playing tricks on me. I thought I found a worm egg. I find a lot of worm eggs in here. Let's dig down further. Surely we got to find something after a week. And here you go. Nothing so far. Nothing in here that looks anything like the food that I buried. Nothing at all. Here you go. This is the closest we've found so far. Where is it? There it is. Usually after about a week or so, you get just a little bit of a smeary looking stuff. And that's what you've got here. A little bit of something that's kind of smeary. So you can break it open. Doesn't stink. That's it. That's all you got. That's all the food. That's all it looks like now after a little more than a week. Let's see what else we can find. Lots of biochar in here. I made some IMO. I put my IMO 3, turned it into IMO 4 in place here. Meaning instead of mixing IMO 3 with soil to make IMO 4, I just mixed it right into my bed. I actually fermented it in place and mixed it right in with this soil. Sometimes when I make my biochar, some of the pieces don't get all the way done. They're usually the pieces at the bottom of my retort. This piece here is a piece of pine nugget, and it's torrefied, meaning that it's burned, but it's not charred. So it still holds the characteristics of moisture, cellulose, all the plant material. And the neat thing about this stuff here, by using pine nuggets, they're like onion skins, and when they make charcoal, they break up really easy. So it's like peeling layers of an onion. I don't know how well you can see it here. That's a piece of biochar, and it just breaks real easy. And since it has layers like onion peel, see how it breaks up real nicely. Using the pine nuggets is a big improvement for me than using my pellets. The pellets are nice. They make really good charcoal, but they're a little expensive. So by using the pine nuggets, it's much cheaper. I can make a bigger batch. I can make, I forget, 5 cubic feet in 45 minutes with my new retort. And it breaks up real easy. A lot of times you'll see people who sell biochar and they'll sell it by the screen size. Well, I don't have to do that, because this stuff here, I can take a piece like this, just turn it in the soil. It's so fragile, it just breaks just that easy. So real quick, let's see what we got in here. Right on the top, worms. One. That's 1, 2, 3. 3 of them right there, just as I turned over some soil. And I can't make this stuff up, guys. This can't be scripted. That can't be scripted. 1, 2, that's all 3, yeah. So again, the best time to start Bokashi composting is now. Even throughout the winter, no matter how cold it gets, there's always going to be microbial activity. Don't ever doubt that. 5, just scratching around. Black soldier fly. The nice thing about the black soldier flies is when they molt, they leave their shell back, and that's calcium source. That is a source of calcium to the soil. This is some of my IMO. You can see how the soil around it is like this, and then you can find these pieces here, and they are kept together by the mycelium, and it's kind of hard to see, but it's like a bunch of little teeny roots in here holding everything together, and that's a fungal colony. So I'm going to bury my other bucket in here. There you go. Just reaching around, that's 2 of them right there. If I were to just set my camera down and let it film, you would actually see my soil moving, like right here where my fingers are. Look at that, that's just my soil moving, guys. Never in my life have I ever had soil that just moves like a human, like a living being, and that's exactly what it is. My soil is a living, breathing being, just like us. It's just absolutely amazing. You just turn it, here you go. Turn it up. Where is he? Right there. Can't make this stuff up. Can't script it. Right here. He's real hard to see. The soil's so nice now that the worms blend in so well. Sometimes they're just hard to see. There you go. Right there where the biochar is. I can just sit there and hold the camera still enough. You'll actually see the soil underneath start to move. Little bitty guys. The soil is alive. Here's one right here, finding his way. And the amazing thing, guys, this is one of my first buckets I ever made. All of this that you see here, that nice soil, started out as this right here. Everything I just showed you, all the worms, all the soil, all the fungi that's growing outside of my box, the soil that is just so loose. Find another spot, just so you know I'm not making it up. All through here. All that life is from this stuff here in Korean natural farming. So, a little more of just a show and a tell. Probably ran on way too long, I always do. So don't wait, the message, do it now. This is Brian with Bokashi.com. Thanks for watching.